Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Kaelee.
And we're seniors at the Miami Valley School, and currently we're in a course called TED that focuses around TED Talks.
And recently we watched a video by Ken Robinson, and it was titled Schools Kill Creativity. And basically what Ken Robinson was saying was how things like art and music are becoming second rate in the educational system in America, and everything's focused on math and science, and just how, you know, a lot of students who are like really strong in like creative parts of school, they just really don't feel like they're good enough, and if they're not good at math or science, they just, you know, don't do as well as they think they should be doing.
So basically today we wanted to talk about how this sort of educational system is affecting children and students in America like us today.
And so at our school, we're really fortunate, and we have a lot of opportunities to we have a lot of opportunities to study things that we want to do, like independent studies and independent classes. And Macy actually did an independent class, so she'll tell you about that.
Earlier this year, at the beginning of my senior year, I was lucky enough to take a course that focused around something I'm really passionate about. And so basically I studied behavioral ecology for a term, and I got to really go in depth about behavioral ecology, and it was something that was really interesting to me. And due to that course, I was able to find out that one thing I'm really passionate about is animals, and it's actually that in the environment. So essentially this course allowed me to determine that I want to go into environmental studies when I go to college next year. But what we were thinking about is essentially how courses like English and things like that don't really seem to be something of our passion. For example, when I would go home and study behavioral ecology, it'd be something I'm really excited about, but not necessarily going home and reading 200 pages of English.
Right, and like it makes sense. Like English is a really important course, obviously, and you know it makes a lot of sense like when you're really young, like in elementary and in middle school, because you need to. It really helps expand your vocabulary and like teaches you how to read and write and like speak properly with grammar, and teaches you how to write papers and all kinds of stuff. And like that's really important. But it just seems like today, like in high school, like where we are anyway, things like reading Hamlet and reading old English literature, I personally don't see as much value in that as I do, like as I would if I was like taking an independent course and I studied something that I was really passionate about.
And we're not saying that it's not essential to do things like learn how to write a paper and conjugate a thesis, but it just almost seems as if we would rather be focusing on something that's currently affecting us. I'm not saying that things like grammar shouldn't be taught daily or weekly or constantly reviewed because it's something important in life, but just if you don't want to pursue English as a career, how is it going to help you?
Especially if it's like, because it seems almost boring to some kids how, you know, if it doesn't relate to something that they're passionate about, like they just lose interest, and then their performance in that class isn't as strong as it could be, you know, if it really, like if they made it like more individualized, I guess.
So currently this year we are in a majority of our same course, of the same courses, and we are in courses that we know you have to take and are important, like our math courses and our science courses, all of those basic subjects that we know are necessary and important to today's society. But Kaelee is actually in a class currently called Current Issues, and she thinks it's really interesting, so she wanted to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, in that class, basically we just learn, like we get newspaper articles, and we, on things that are like really important in the world today. So, you know, things like what's going on in Israel, and, you know, things about climate change, and just different things that have happened, like all the school shootings and everything. So we learn about what's going on, like right now. And that's really interesting because, you know, you see the challenges that the world is facing. And I mean, it's, although like in a normal history course, you know, you learn what happened 300 years ago, and that's really important to learn, you know, so you don't repeat history, and like a lot of that's really beneficial and everything. But just like in my current events course, just like seeing what's actually happening right now, and like thinking about what, you know, almost like what I could do to prevent it or help it, you know, like that's really cool to see all this happening. And I think like that course should be like, it should be, everyone should have to take it because it really helps you see what's going on today.
One thing that Kaelee and I also found important or interesting was the fact that we both have jobs, and we've both had jobs for a pretty long time, and we're both in really like not substantial positions in our jobs, or quite important, but it's just something that we're both interested in and something we do weekly and almost daily. Well, Kaelee does daily, and I take up most of my weekends working, and it just seems that some of the priorities in the world are becoming confusing because it's almost as if you're encouraged to get a job, but then at the same time to maintain good grades. So it's becoming this balance, and it's becoming more and more difficult because it's almost if you get a job, it's going to prepare you more for your future and what you're going to be doing, the responsibility it gives you, but it's this really difficult balance to figure out which one you need to put more effort into and more of your focus on, or else it's going to become like one of them's going to lose priority in your life, and it just is difficult to focus your time spending math when you could be doing your job, and it seems almost as if your job's going to have a bigger impact on your future than your 4 problems of math homework.
Right, and like being our age, so like 17, almost 18, it's like a hard time because like, you know, you have school, and like your parents expect you to have a job for most people, and it's just like you really like while you're at school you're like, well, I'm making money, and like I'm like, you go to school to get a job, so you're like, oh, I have a job, you know, I don't need school, and like that's kind of like the mentality that you get stuck in a little bit. I mean obviously like I don't want to like stay in my like minimum wage job forever, but you know, like everyone has that mentality, I think, and you know, so it just like when I think of it, I'm like, oh, I have to go to work, so you know, writing this English paper, it's just like sleep's more important, I'm really tired, so I'll like do it later, and it's like I don't enjoy it anyway, so it's like it's like a struggle for me to do my homework, and it's like I know how important it is, but it's just like it's exhausting to put a lot of effort into work or to school and then work and then going home and really doing something that doesn't interest me all that much.
So basically what we wanted to say in this video is not really to make any drastic points or anything, but just to get our thoughts into the world on how we think it should be, our curriculum should be more focused on things we're passionate about. So it would be more interesting for us to come home and do our homework every night, or it would be more interesting for us to sit through a 50-minute class day to day. But the society today